From rumors of Fernando Alonso being electrocuted while testing, to George Russell being the admin of a driver's only WhatsApp group. Here are a few hidden secrets that fans never knew about. First up, we have the sizzling bromance between Daniel Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly. Now, we've already seen the Australian teasing his fellow drivers in different ways, and he's got his own way with drivers that have unique names. I mean, remember Nico Hülkenberg? Or rather, Hülkenberg, if we're talking about Ricciardo. Because when the two of them were teammates in Renault, the Australian practiced the pronunciation of the umlaut in Hülkenberg's name, which eventually turned into an inside joke. But when the German bid farewell to the sport back in 2021, Ricciardo had no one to tease now. So he had to find a new victim. And there he was, the Frenchman in the AlphaTauri, Pierre Gasly. And now every time Ricciardo sees the guy, he can't help but shout, a very enthusiastic Pierre Gasly. So every time Pierre would be all focused and serious for an interview, Ricciardo would break his flow and literally call out his name. To make matters even funnier, the Frenchman decided to return the joke as well. So while walking on the Yas Marina circuit, Gasly yelled out a Daniel Ricciardo when he saw the McLaren man. And of course, with the light-hearted humor that goes on between the two, Daniel returned the gesture with his very own calling. But that's not the only place where they show their bromance to each other. In fact, all the drivers on the grid have their very own WhatsApp group chat as well. And guess who leaked those chats? None other than Lando Norris. He literally broke that one rule of having group chats. Never let anyone else have a peek, but he was pretty quick to whip up his phone during a podcast and show everyone what exactly goes inside. According to the Briton, they do share memes and stuff, but it's mostly done so that on-grid drivers can discuss different rule changes and whatnot. But even when they start discussing serious stuff, someone sends in a meme, and the group chat spirals out of control. But that's not the only thing that's questionable in a group filled with the best drivers in the world. In fact, the group's icon is a photo of none other than James Hunt. I mean, they could have put a group photo of everyone on it, but it's literally just Hunt. And I think I know why they haven't put a group photo. It's because the admin George Russell doesn't hesitate to kick someone out once they get sacked from the grid. So picture this. You just lost a multi-million-dollar contract. Your future in Formula One isn't secured, and to top it off, your mates kick you out of the group chat. Ouch! That one's got a sting, and it's something Nikita Mazepin can deeply relate to, because it took Russell half a second to boot the former Haas driver from the GC on the same day his sacking was confirmed. It's like he had his thumb ready to tap on remove participant. I mean, I know he's quick, but he's got to be quicker on track. Because get this, Russell and Lewis Hamilton were going to have a pretty nasty crash in last year's Dutch Grand Prix. And yeah, it was definitely a close call. Before anyone dug deeper into what went wrong between the two, Mercedes was quick to shun them down before any controversy brewed. Like, I get that Mercedes is trying to keep up their prestige image, but hiding something as crucial as this would just worry the fans about how big the matter actually was. And, let me do the honors, there wasn't actually a crash, but a huge possibility of a nasty one. And this entire incident was all because both the drivers were confused about what to do. So what happened was, when Russell came out of the pit lane with fresh tires, Hamilton just happened to be right there waiting for him. And by default, his defensive instincts kicked in, so he started defending against his own teammate. Rookie mistake, Hamilton. But Russell was quick to catch on to what was going down, and to get back in his battle with Max Verstappen, he had to overtake Lewis. But in doing so, he was inches away from clouting the rear end of the other Mercedes. And oh boy, if they had made contact, both the Mercedes cars would have been out of the race. Now, fans were pretty blind to this crash that never happened. At the same time, what you've got to remember is that folks were already quite concerned for the Silver Arrows squad because of their poor performance. So another event to worry all the fans. Nah, no way. So they kept it on the down low. But with the way how things had been going for other teams as well, it feels like each one of them would be struck by these problems. Like, just take a look at Ferrari and how they're miserable because of miscommunication. Now, I know they have their own reputation with strategy issues and messing up a good chance at victory. But hey, at least Ferrari tries to discuss what went wrong. Like, imagine Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc tearing it up on the track, pushing their cars to the absolute limit, and both of them having remarkable pace, but only one of them soaring on top of the other. And no, it wasn't our beloved Monegasque that was able to. In fact, even though Leclerc's the first driver, he sure wasn't first against his teammate, and that's something to be bummed about, because it obviously hints at misunderstandings between him and Carlos. So after this entire shebang, they weren't happy with how they qualified for the race at P5 and P7, so they sat down in their debrief and tried to solve it. But then again, the effectiveness of what they discussed would only be caught in the next race. Am I right? And with how serious the briefings end up being, you'd think calls on track are just as serious, right? Well, Leclerc's engineer didn't see what was coming for him. Ferrari messing up has become a running joke now. Heck, even Charles Leclerc didn't give his engineer mercy. Like, the man was zooming on track in Bahrain and he decided to prank the team on call. He radioed his right-hand guy and told him there was something strange with the engine. And Ferrari, being so accustomed to such calls, accepted this fate as well. That was until Leclerc told them that he was joking. I mean, at least it was a false alarm. And honestly, Ferrari is still relatively more transparent with what goes on. But as for other teams, they have a lot to work on, especially since Fernando Alonso's crash in the McLaren in Barcelona still remains a mystery. Right, so there have been some wild and wacky theories about the Spaniard's crash in 2015 during testing, and all that justification still doesn't make sense. So, let's get our facts straight. First, former McLaren boss Ron Dennis had spilled the beans that Alonso was actually knocked unconscious for a few seconds, and that was pretty sus coming from him since he had denied that earlier. In fact, the team had underestimated the head injury a bit too much, because they had to change their statements a lot more than usual. Like, first, they claimed it was a normal testing accident. But then Alonso's extended vacation at the hospital was raising quite a few eyebrows. So I don't think it's normal for an F1 driver to swerve off a track and land in the hospital for more than the expected time. Now on to the juicy rumors. You probably don't know of this hidden gem, but it was reported that the Spaniard woke up and started speaking Italian. Italian out of all languages. Talk about being lost in translation. But it gets even weirder. Another report claimed that Alonso was stuck in the past for a week. He thought he was 13 years old in an adult body. I mean, we all take a trip down memory lane sometimes. But the man just knows how to take things to the next level. But what comes next might come as a shocker. Because some sources even claimed that Alonso was electrocuted in the car before the crash. Now that's suspicious. And guess what? McLaren denied this rumor. I mean, of course, it would have ruined their hard-worked image if they hadn't, but it just makes too much sense for it to not be true. With that, that's all for hidden F1 secrets that fans never knew about.